They were not into intellectual arguments or verbal polemics. They were looking for something inner, so as to say. There also emerged a group who called themselves the people of tradition, who said that salvation depended on believing the apparent meaning of Quran and the traditions without any academic research. In other words, you don't have to go deep in the Quran or research in the Quran or the tradition. Just go for the apparent meaning and that's it. But most allowed was the verbal or literary meaning of the words put in the Quran, nothing else. As you see, a lot of things occurring. Even the second century of Islam has not been finished yet, and all these things are occurring. Basically, Muslim society has split into 4 groups: the theologians, the philosophers, the Sufis, and the people of tradition. This was an intellectual chaos, so to say. Generally speaking, there was not a single issue on which there was no debate going on. Except La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Everything else was open to debate. There was dispute regarding meanings and names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first is theologians. The second are the philosophers who were impressed by the Greek philosophy. The third were Sufis. And the fourth are the traditionalists who look for the apparent meaning of Quran, Sunnah, and nothing else. Between them and many subsets of these groups, there were constant debates, controversies on the degree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, qada and qadr, an issue that still is being debated. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's actions, the reality of heaven and earth. Opinion differed whether man was helpless to in the divine hands, or a free agent having free will. There are wranglings about every single issue that you could think of reward and punishment, about the barzakh, about the day of judgment, resurrection, paradise, hell, infallibility of the Prophet, knowledge of the Prophet, whether he was taught by someone, whether he could write or not, whether Quran was eternal or not. You pick up any subject and you will see that debates going on. This divergence showed itself clearly in tafsir of Quran itself. Every group wanted to support its views and opinions from the Quran, and tafsir served that purpose. Each and every group wanted authenticity from Quran, and by interpreting the Quran to justify their viewpoint, they got that authenticity. The people of tradition, for example, the traditionalists, explain the Quran with the tradition ascribed to the Prophet, his companion, and the disciples. They went ahead as long as they could find a tradition to lead them on, and stopped when they could not find any tradition, saying that nothing more was there. That's it. No use of intellect, reasoning, or nothing else. That's it. They thought the only safe method was to go for the traditions. And that's it. They based their argument on, the words of Quran, the 7th verse from Surah Al-Imran, that says about Rasikhun fil ilm, saying that we believe in it and it's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's where they start. Of course, this was not valid proof. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran has not said that the rational proof has no validity. If the proof is not rational, it's only traditional, it has to be accepted, and so on and so forth. And how could he say, when the authenticity of the book itself was dependent on the pronouncement of the Prophet? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the Prophet's words to be ultimate. But there is no verse in Quran that guarantees that the words of companions or the disciples, tabi'in, are valid. Does it? As far as Prophet is concerned, absolutely. But as far as companions and disciples are concerned, where is it in Quran that that's the ultimate proof? It isn't. Instantly, one of jurists, Malik, came up with definition of Sunnah. That was Sunnah meant. That's very interesting definition. What is really Sunnah means? And I think in one of my courses, when you were present, I gave you those 10 aspects of Sunnah that is discussed. And only one aspect of Sunnah is regarding the Prophet. The rest is about companions and the scholars and the disciples. That's how it was. So, to assume that the disciples, the companions of the Prophet and the disciples would have the final say, would be the ultimate proof, was not to be accepted, but that was accepted. That is law of traditionalists. The fact is that the only logical explanation is the one that comes from the Prophet and no one else. Okay? If you are going by that traditional route, if you are not looking for reasoning, if you are not going for intellectual exercise, then if you restrict yourself to tradition, the only tradition would be the one coming from the Prophet ﷺ. But as I said, they have come up with 4 issues regarding the traditions in the time of the Prophet, and we discussed that in the last 2 lectures. On the other hand, the theologians, those who were, well versed in theology, went a step further. They were divided into many groups, sects, and each group would justify its own